Another great technique to create soulful chord progressions is to borrow chords from other modes. If you look at our 1 and 4 chords in the gospel map, you can see how they could have a 1-7 or a 4-7. These two chords come from the blues, and blues is a style in which the 1 and the 4 are dominant. So making the 1 or the 4 chord dominant will immediately give your chord progression a bluesy sound. So here we're playing C7 over E to F7 sharp 11, and you can immediately hear the blues sound from these two chords. There's another cool chord we find in blues and gospel, the 1-6-4, C over G in the key of C. And you can get to this chord by way of the 4 chord, F to C over G. And then do an embellished deceptive cadence using the 7 diminished 7 of 6. And if you want to embellish it even more, you can interpolate the 7 diminished 7 of 5 here. F to F sharp diminished 7 to G over C to G sharp diminished 7 to A minor. Many players see this F sharp diminished 7 as a sharp 4 diminished 7, and that's also a valid interpretation. And you can also create so many variations of this move. Instead of the G sharp diminished 7, we can use E7 flat 9 over G sharp. And we can also interpolate the related 2 of that E7. So in the first bar, let's play F7 sharp 11 to C over G to E7 over G sharp to A minor 7. And then use the sub 5 to get to the F major 7. And on the last 2 bars, we can use that sharp 4 diminished 7 chord, F sharp diminished 7, but let's use a first inversion add 9 on the first chord, then the sharp 4 diminished 7 to the 1-6-4, and interpolate the related 2 B minor 7 here. And to fill in this gap, we can use a 5-7 chord in first inversion. On the last chord, I'm going to use a great substitution for the D flat 7 chord, a D7 sharp 11. This will actually make the A minor 7 to D7 sound like a 2-5. This is a really cool chord. You can also see it as one dominant chord on top of another dominant chord. In this case, an E7 over D7. I really like the sound of this chord. We actually feature this chord in our Advanced Piano Tricks book, so check that out to learn more about this sound. Our last example takes our extended dominant sequence to the next level. Here, you'll see the use of a tonic reharm, rootless voicings, upper structure triads, upper structure chordals, interpolation, add 9 chords, sub 5 slash chords, gospel harmony, and borrowing, just to name a few. The first thing to probably talk about here is probably the tonic reharm that occurs in measure 2. This will be our starting point from which to talk about all the stuff going on in measure 1. Here we just have the 5 of the A minor, our tonic reharm. You'll notice that it's a flat 9 in order to accommodate the melody, like we talked about before. Next is just B7 altered, the 5 of E7 flat 9. Again, the altering of this chord is just a consequence of us needing to consider our melody. And this altered chord is actually a great opportunity to use an upper structure chordal. An A4-7 upper structure chordal is a great way to highlight the alteredness of this chord. Our next chord, F sharp 7 sharp 9, is just the 5 of our B altered chord, again with the sharp 9 highlighting our melody. This C sharp minor 7 flat 5 on B3 is the related 2 of F sharp 7. One of the great features of using an extended dominant sequence is how many interpolation opportunities it offers us. You can always interpolate the related 2 of a dominant chord, anywhere. Again, you'll also see the use of an upper structure here, this time an upper structure triad, B over C sharp minor 7 flat 5, which perfectly fits our melody. Our next chord, E7 sharp 9 over D, is mainly a consequence of targeting the A minor 7 in measure 2. The tricky part was finding a way to use an E7 to connect these two chords here. This means using E7 as a passing chord that highlights our melody and creates descending stepwise movement in the bass that we want here. This was achieved by using a rootless voicing and an upper structure triad. The rootless voicing allows us to get our desired bass movement, while the upper structure highlights our melody while also giving us that great upper structure color. Removing the roots from our chords not only gives us opportunities to create nice bass lines, but it also introduces an ambiguity to the voicing that is really unique and very intriguing. And this is exactly what you see with the two chords that follow our A minor in measure 2. The second half of this reharm centers around the gospel progression that we talked about during our last reharm. Here we have F7 to F sharp diminished 7 to C over G to G sharp diminished 7 to A minor. And these two chords here, F add 9 over A and B minor 7 11 over F sharp, are just a result of us harmonically filling in the blank using the melody to make some decisions. The F is a diatonic chord, and the B minor 7 is the related 2 of this E7 over G sharp, which you'll notice has now taken the place of the G sharp diminished 7 from before. And look how the inversions that we used created this awesome ascending bass line. At the end here, we're just borrowing a C blues scale on top of this B flat 7.